Yo, the latest episode of Stocks and Bars. So check who I got with me on the line today. All right. You know I got to give everybody my flowers for anybody who jumps on here with me. So let's go.
Or
All right. This guy here is somebody I met when I was super young. All right. I was like 23, 22, something like that. All right. So it's been a minute since I've known this guy and we first got introduced. We used to actually be in a rap group together.
Bird
Now,
Trilogy.
yeah. So we started off together and we were rapping. And the group, we did our thing. We never really did too much with it, but we both recognized our talent. So we stayed in touch with the raps. And then, life took us on different paths and we kept in touch via Facebook, like everybody else does nowadays, right? We have
Right.
mutual friends and we've seen each other's posts. So I've watched this guy blossom to the guy he is right now via Facebook. I wish I would have had the opportunity to build more with him personally, but I didn't have that. But maybe there's another time and space for that. So fast forward to where we are right now. Through Facebook, I saw my guy was going through a couple things and it immediately hit my soul. And I said, yo, I got to reach out to him. But let me back this up a little bit more. Now, before that happened, we've been trying to actually do this right now, where I
Right.
was trying to put something together and, maybe the timing wasn't right. But now the post happened. And I said, yo, there's a reason why this guy's been on my mind for a minute. Let me immediately reach out to him. No lie. After I saw the post, I picked the phone up and called him immediately. Like, yo, I just saw it. What's good? We got to talk, right? So we
Bird.
chopped it up. We was on the phone for probably about a solid 40 minutes. And, it was good to hear my guy's voice, good to hear him get it off his chest and I expressed my stuff. But yo, now, here we are, right? The post took us to where we are now. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to let you know that this guy is special to me because I feel like him and I have some things in common that we are going to find out about, what I'm saying? So,
Right.
yo, my guy, Dorland Frederick, aka D-Fed. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank
Yo,
you for coming to
can
the
I clap
show,
for
man.
myself too? Can I
Yes,
clap for
yes,
being on
I
the show?
appreciate you, brother. Yes.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah,
Appreciate it.
thank you. Thank you for coming on. So there's a lot of things you and I could have talked about because what I'm going to share with the viewers is you have a background in finance and that's what I talk about, so it's an easy dot to connect. But in this episode, what I really want to talk about is something that has been on my paper for a long time. It's one of the topics I wanted to talk about, and
Mhm.
it's mental wellness. All right. Now, as brothers in the community, mental wellness is something that has not been stressed at an early age at all. We have been conditioned to understand that if there's anything tough that you are going through, you just got to simply tough it out. Okay. There's
Yeah.
no tears allowed. There's no show of emotion, maybe some anger, but you got to bottle that up and you got to channel that some other way. And if you don't talk, well, if you do talk about it, then it's frowned upon, or you get viewed upon as weak, the weak link of some sort. Is never anything beneficial out of that. So what I want to talk about is, are you willing to share what you posted on Facebook? One,
Yeah,
if you
man.
want. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
So
sure.
yeah, let people know that, what the post was about and,
Oh,
give us to how we are where we're at right now.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. Um, so like everybody, I mean, it was a certain period of time in my life where this was a lot of what I would call it as compounding stresses or
Yeah.
stressors, right? Things where you would have, difficult times, whether it was professionally, personally, but they seem to compound. You know the
Right.
saying, once it rains, it pours, right?
Right.
So basically, basically, I was just in a situation where it was becoming super heavy,
Yeah.
right? And because of that heaviness, I didn't necessarily want to expound on that to other people. I just wanted to kind of deal with it.
Right.
Um, but in the middle of all of these stresses, in my role, in finance, I work with a lot of different clients. I have a large clientele base, and I come across a lot of different people on a daily. This day in particular, I was working with one individual who um, started to uh, just speak into my life,
Yeah.
speaking a lot of positive words and positive affirmations that really resonated with me at the time. And it was coming to me when I needed it the most. Right. Um, and it was literally almost instantaneously, those words kind of broke me out of this funk and this shell,
Word.
just something that I needed to hear at the time. And a lot of it was spiritually based. We all, I mean, I won't say we all, but the majority of our community starts in a very spiritual and religious
Right.
background. At
Right.
least that's where it starts, right? That's kind of where our grandparents were born, and it was kind of brought into that. Um, and it kind of just centered me back into that space and just realizing that, whatever I'm going through right now isn't forever,
Right.
and I'm not alone in that, right? So the point of me sharing it, although in the moment it was extremely uncomfortable because, for one, I mean, I'm 36, so I'm a little bit of an old head when it
Yeah.
comes to the social media. So,
Same. Same.
sitting on my phone and like talking to myself was already kind of weird
Yeah.
to me. I don't do that. But being able to be vulnerable and then let people know what I was going through was a little bit uncomfortable. However, it just felt like the right thing to do because we all go through this type of stuff. We
Right.
all go through these situations from time to time. Some people more frequently than others, but we all go through these situations where things seem to be a little bit heavy. And I just wanted to share my experience and let people know that, you're not alone. You're not.
Right.
And as a result, I got a lot of positive feedback. I mean, I got a lot of people reaching out to me like, "Hey, yo, Fed, you good? Everything all right, bro?" I mean, and
Yeah.
it was like, yeah, I mean, I appreciated all of it. It wasn't like I was at at the edge of the cliff
Yeah.
getting ready to jump or anything like that. So it wasn't really necessarily a big deal, but I appreciated it, man. And a lot of people who were dealing with the same things were also saying to me, "Hey, man, thank you for posting that because I needed to hear that too."
Right.
And that same exact feeling that I got when my client poured into me, I was able to have a similar effect with other people
Right. Sharing that.
via
Right.
social. So yeah, it was powerful. It was a powerful, powerful moment.
Yeah. It's always a beautiful moment when you're able to help somebody out, man. Like I share with you my situation, and I'm gonna do the same thing because I haven't done it on here before. So
Okay.
when it comes to being able to help somebody else out, it's amazing, man. Like the feeling you get from being able to say, yo, I've really made an impact on somebody. That right there is what I teach my children what life is about. It's never about you. It's about making sure that your space, the people you affect, they are good. You know what I'm saying? Because that always comes back to you. You don't have to worry about that
Yeah,
when you're doing what you're supposed to do, because everything else is going to fall into place for you. It's going to come to you. So
it's true.
I say all that in order to segue into my story that I share with you. So a lot of people don't know, you know, I lost my job last year, right? And this was the first time ever that I did not have a job. And
Mm,
the job that I had was, I don't want to say extremely stressful, but it was stressful. And it was
right.
stressful because I did not have control of my time. I had to go in every single day. And we're coming out of the point out of a pandemic where we had some flexibility. And I had a position that had that flexibility. And I ended up getting out of that and going into this one.
Yeah.
And I knew going into it that I would have to go into work. So that wasn't like killing me. However, I went into it with the understanding that if there was anything that had to happen for my family that I needed to take care of, that they were going to allow me to use my time in order to do it. So while I was there, that did not happen, not
Yeah.
at all. And they took advantage of me as much as possible when it came to my time. And they Jedi mind tricked me into making me feel guilty for having to take care of stuff. I had one situation happen where my furnace went out. So I'm scared to ask, yo, I fall back in order to make sure that these people can come to my house and give me quotes and, do the man thing, make sure I'm there. So no strangers in the house with my wife and kids.
Yeah.
Yo, I didn't even ask. I just sat at work, a little bit nervous, doing some texts, answering a phone call when I should have been there. But anyway, that's one example of how that affected me. So fast forward, I was in there for about 5 months. They told me it didn't work. Yo,
Yeah.
you know that feeling when
Yeah.
all of that weight comes off your shoulders. You don't carry it no more. It felt like a 3,000 pound boulder was just off of me all of a sudden. And I just felt free. And
Right.
I got in the car, and then all of a sudden it hit me like, you got to tell your wife.
Which is that's different right there.
Right. So I said, I'm not going to call her. I'm just going to go home and tell her. So went home, told her. She just was like, waterworks just immediately. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And I'm like, yo, we got money saved up. We're good. I'm employable. If I need to get another job, I'll do one. It's no problem. I got my own business going. I can do this. I'm not worried because I know everything takes care of itself. I've been in situations before, not as detrimental as that, but I've been in situations where it always resolves itself. You don't really have to worry about it. So out
Right.
of that situation, bro, we had people come out the woodwork to say, oh, we're so sorry. We got cards. We got people who gave us gift cards out the kindness of their heart. Yo, I no lie to you. I went to a restaurant, right? I was doing side gigs with my brother-in-law. So he, I'm pretty handy. So he was like, yo, if I need some help over here. I was like, okay, cool. I'll go over there. So he just told me go over to the house to go do some work. So anyway, I'm over there doing the work, bounce out to go get lunch. I'm there solo getting lunch,
Hmm.
right? Eat everything, get the bill. And she was like, somebody already took care of it for you. I said, what?
What?
I'm
What?
telling you, man, like everything comes full circle. All the goodness that I've done in this world now is coming back to return to say, we got you. We seen you doing your works out here. You do what you got to do. We'll take care of this part. And I'm
Right.
appreciative of that, man. So to
That's real.
anybody who's going through anything of a hardship, first of all, talk to somebody. All right. Get it off your mind. This is why humans have other humans, because
It's
we
true.
can share the weight a lot easier when you let somebody else know. All right. Number two, don't worry about it. Once it's gone off of your shoulders, man, all you got to do, send it up. That's it. You know what I'm saying? That's as
Yeah.
real as it can be, man, because when you put that weight out there for him to take care of, it's going to get taken care of. And you don't got to worry, man. You know what I'm saying? So I
It's
sleep
true.
easier at night knowing this. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, any other things that you could share with people as far as tips in order to help get
Yeah.
through? Because I know you've experienced it. So you probably got a little bit more wisdom
I
on it.
mean, I just feel like I truly believe that everybody has experienced this. So I like
Yeah.
truthfully, I think that number one, you have to recognize that those feelings are real.
Right.
When you're going through anything that is anything that's turbulent, right, or rocky or just uncomfortable, that feeling you feel like in your gut, that's a real emotion, and it's okay to feel that, right?
Right.
Recognizing it and knowing that it's legitimate is the first step, right? You have to be able to be there. But in addition to that, I think it's also important to what the point that you were making, and then this is something that I know, but um, it's always good to have that sounding board and have somebody to be able to speak to about that, right? Now, let me also say this, that and I'm a true believer of this, you know, everything isn't for everybody too,
Right.
right? If you're going through some things, I'm not saying that, hey, listen, just turn around and start talking,
Yeah.
you know, to anybody, right? You want to make sure that you have somebody that you can deem as safe, you trust it,
Right.
right? To to feel comfortable with releasing that energy to them, taking it off of you. Um, so that's different than what I'm saying. But at the same time, it's not normal to internalize and keep that
Mm-mm.
energy in there, right? And that's something like we were never taught that.
Right.
It's that, like, what you crying for? Like,
Yeah.
I'll give you something to cry about
Yeah.
type of
Yeah.
mentality, right? But no, man, like, I'm sad right now. I feel like crying. Like, those
Right.
tears is releasing that stress out of my body. That's
Right.
what I'm supposed to do, right? So that's okay. Um, so again, just recognizing that those feelings, those emotions are valid and they're real. Two, having somebody that you trust to be able to release that information for, and being comfortable with that, because that does not make you weak. You
Right.
know, and my situation was, I know that, and I wasn't necessarily not speaking about it because, I mean, I did kind of feel weak
Mm.
at a certain extent because I'm a very strong, positive person, right? I'm a very like, my personality type is very um I mean, I'm just a super positive type of person,
Right. Right. And you
right?
don't
Like,
want nobody seeing you down because of that character
of
of you.
that
Yeah.
character,
Yeah.
right? Even though I know that it's perfectly normal to feel
Right.
down, but at the same time, sometimes, like, when things are tough, right? Because, like, for example, when things are, I'm sorry,
You
when
good?
things are like tough, in your immediate area, like in your family, and then you have things about that you're going through that you don't necessarily want to share with people outside. Who do you talk to then?
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if I'm dealing with something that's dealing with my professional life, and I'm dealing with something that's in my personal life that I don't necessarily want to just go on Facebook and share, the only people I really have to talk about is the people that's in my family. But we're all going through it,
Right.
right? So you don't necessarily bounce those emotions off each other because you just feel like you're just digging a
Everybody's already in it. Yeah.
yeah, I'm just digging a deeper ditch. You know what I'm saying? So I just internalize it, which isn't necessarily the best thing to do.
Yeah.
Um, However, just hearing those words from Billy really kind of just, it kicked me out of that funk. Like, to going back to what you said, like, hey, bro, like, you're a positive person, you're a good dude, you're extremely successful, you have the love of your family
Mm-hmm.
around you. Yeah, this shit's, I'm sorry, I don't know if I can cuss, but like this, yeah, like, it sucks right now in the moment, but it's gonna work itself out, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You done too
Yeah.
much good out here to let this be the end all be all,
Yeah.
you know? And that's going right back to what you said. So, continuing to exude that positive energy into the atmosphere, man, that stuff is going to come full
It
circle,
comes
man. It
right
always
back.
does, man.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, man, needless to say, I'm not in that space anymore. I'm feeling really good. You can tell
Yeah.
my shoulders is up
Yeah.
right now, I'm feeling great right now, man.
Yeah.
Things is great. It almost happened instantly. Like, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
come on, man, we're good, man. What you worried about, man? Yeah, it sucks, but learn from this.
And this too shall pass.
And this
Yeah.
too shall pass. Hey, what movie is
Right.
that? What I'm saying? Like, it's gonna be okay. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah,
that's
man.
that's pretty much the majority of it.
Yeah, man. People just need to understand that they're not the only one. There's 6 billion, 7 billion people on this planet. Okay. And then in the United States alone, there's probably at least I'm just gonna throw numbers out there because I don't really know. At least 2 billion. Okay, I'm throwing it out there. But regardless of whatever billions there are, you're not the only one. So anybody who's going through something, realize that this has happened before to another human, and that there's a support system for you. And to Fed's point, if you're not comfortable, you do not have anybody comfortable in your circle, outside your circle, immediate, whatever, that you're not close to, there are other support systems out there, and it is like a Google search away. So if you got it and you really need that help, or it's something that you really feel that uncomfortable to talk with to somebody else, again, Google search away, man. It's really
Yeah,
that
man.
easy, man. So talk to somebody, period.
Yeah, for
Just talk.
sure. You
So
know,
yeah,
you know,
so
it's different type of therapies and everything like that.
oh yeah,
Like if you don't want the people that's in your business, so to speak, you can have somebody completely unbiased who's there
right.
to speak to you, and that's also great too. And then believe it or not, I mean, a lot of times, like your insurance will cover that too. A lot of people
Yeah,
was concerned about that too, because a lot of times you can have insurance. You have insurance if you have insurance. A lot of times it'll cover that, so definitely look into that because it can
yeah.
definitely pay.
Again, never go through it alone, because there's enough people out there that can help you support whatever issues you got. Now,
Word.
I want to come back to what we were talking about as far as the culture and how we were brought up, right? We've like you said, you want something to cry about, all of that type of stuff. Me and my fellas, we talked about this before, and it had to realize that, yo, bro, we were traumatized.
Oh
You
man,
know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like, when I look at it and I look at the definition of it, we was severely traumatized. Like, this is real. We went through a trauma and had no idea how to digest what we were going through.
true.
So now that I've recognized that, and now that I have kids, I always said, I'm changing the way things were done. Okay. I made sure, and I make every effort as a father to put forth the energy to make sure my daughters know that I love them every single day. Every night we do the same routines, we do bedtime and reading and all that type of stuff. And we always say we love you. This household has that I love you built in. There's not a
Ooh,
day that goes by that we don't do that and we don't show it. Okay. Through discipline, I still do my thing as a dad. Okay. And let them know, yo, it's my job. This is what I'm supposed to do. And I set them aside and I have to explain to them, why daddy had to do that.
explain the
And
why.
yeah, and explain why. I didn't, my why was, yo, you messed up, get over here. Or no, get over here.
Yeah, or
Whatever,
because I said so.
Yeah, that.
Or is but yeah, a lot of that.
Yeah.
No,
So our generation was just brought up different. And now that I recognize the things that our parents, and I don't fault my parents for that, right? They only did what they knew. So their
right.
parents before them and their parents before them all had the same conditioning. And so they replicated what they knew. So now, with the advent of education and, just understanding things, I realized that I'm going to change that. So, knowing the things that you know now, what are some practices now that you do with your daughter, with your son? And then on top of that, are there anything different that you do with your daughter or son, since they are different sexes?
Yeah, man. That's great, man. Like one thing that you said right now, that you said earlier is like, your family knows and feels love every day,
Right.
right? Um, and that's one thing that is huge with me and my kids. I mean, my son and my daughter. I always tell them that I love them. I always tell them that I'm proud of them. A
Right.
lot of times what I'll do is like sometimes I'll just go, Livy, my daughter's name is Olivia. So I call her, hey, Livy. I say, guess what? She say, what? She said, I love you. And I say, I love you. And she'll say, I know that. And I say, how you know? And she said, you always say that.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I it's the same thing. I do it all
Yeah.
the time, and I always ask how you know that because I always say it,
Yeah.
right? Or I say, I'm guess what? What I'm proud of you. Or just randomly, I'll just say, Carter, man, I'm so proud of you, man. Like, you're doing a great job. You're becoming a really, very smart young man. And they just say that they say that they know that already because it's always said in this house.
Right. Right.
Um, and I make that a point. To your second question, one thing that I always do that, for my son, like I explain to my son, I say, hey, you are a young black man.
Mm-hmm.
I am always going to be tough on you. I tell him this, like, I'm
Yeah.
going to be hard on you, and I'm not going to stop being hard on you
Right.
because I expect a certain level of execution from you because
Right.
you are a young black man in this world today going to, well, a mixed school, but predominantly white school where you're going to be held to a different standard, even against your
Word.
will.
Right.
So I'm going to hold you to that. But I want you to know that I always explain the why behind my teachings, my disciplines, everything. I don't let him up on little things. I
Mm.
always expect
These is
more.
facts. Yeah.
I mean, but not, I mean, it's not like it's not good enough. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
like, like my son to bring home honor roll, all A's, B plus, B minus. I won't look at him and say, well,
What's up with this B minus?
yeah, what's the book? No, it's, hey man, though this is awesome, man. Great job, great job. Let me, like, what do you think we can do to get that B minus
Yeah.
to an A minus? What can we do differently? You know what I mean? Like make them think. What can we do differently this time around to get that B plus to an A plus?
Yeah.
Right? We talk about it, and then I incentivize it. Hey man, look, if you get that to straight A's, bro, look, man, I'll do A, B, and C for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I incentivize him, right? And it's just a way to just make it so that I want him to know that these things are important,
Yeah.
but I also want him to know that when you work hard, you focus on something, you work hard on it, you are going to be able to earn great things. And that's going to
Right.
translate to, you know, whatever he wants to do,
Right.
right? And for my daughter, what I always do is, one thing about her, I mean, I think everybody has to think their daughter is the most beautiful girl in the world, right? And I believe that my daughter is the most beautiful girl in the world. And we say that a lot, but I change it to, I want her to know, not only do I always say that she's so beautiful, but I always tell her that, hey, you are so intelligent. You are so
Yes.
smart. You are so kind. I reiterate those things in addition to
The beauty
her
standard.
beauty,
Yeah.
right? It ain't just you're beautiful. You ain't,
Yeah.
you ain't just pretty. You're smart first.
Right.
I want you to know this. You are intelligent first
Right.
before anything, right? Because no matter what, beauty is going to fade, but nobody can take that intelligence from you. So I
Amen.
always exude those same things to my kids, even now. She's only 5, right? Um, and these are just things that, I feel like I was raised that way to a certain extent, but
Yeah.
it wasn't it wasn't the same.
Right. Right.
My parents had what they had, and they tried their best to do what they had. But I'm just learning from that and learning from those mistakes and those qualities to be able to expound on that, so that
Right.
whatever I do is great. But it ain't just for that; it's for my grandkids, and then their kids, and then their
Right.
kids, and then
Right.
their kids. So by the time I'm gone, you know, the trajectory of our family is completely different. You know,
Correct.
so yeah, that's a couple of things.
Yeah, man. I feel it because I do the same exact thing. I tell my daughters every single morning, I said, I give them a hug, right? And first thing I say to them is, you know that daddy missed you while you was sleeping?
Mm,
Yeah. And they just do that, right? This is
yeah,
yeah. And I'm like, you know I love you. Yeah. And the same thing you do. How do you know? Well, so they understand the feeling of love, right? They don't
yep,
understand truly what it is to love yet. And that's okay because I'm giving them that example. Now, as black men in this society, we You and I, we set ourselves for high standards, and you and I meet on so many different levels because you are setting the tone for the Frederick family forever. You know what I'm saying? This is
100%.
this is what it is, and you are setting in stone right now, establishing what this family is going to be doing way past my time, your kids' time, all of that. I'm starting that right now. And this is how we are looking right now as Black families way down the line. So,
Exactly.
yeah, with all of that, man, I teach my daughters on a daily basis, especially my oldest. She's going to be 9 this year.
Hmm.
Yo, everybody is watching you. Okay. She got 2 siblings behind her. And I teach her on a daily basis. Your sisters are looking up to you no matter what you do. Okay. You have 2 sets of eyes on you, constantly watching you. Okay. I said, how do you learn what you learn? And she said, I don't know. I say, you watch what daddy does, you watch what mommy does. This is how you learn. So your sisters are going to learn the same exact way. So I'm trying to get you to understand that the precedent you set for them is going to be what they're going to follow. Okay. So whatever you do, make
Right.
sure you think about it. I'm just trying to get my daughter awareness about her actions because
Yes.
everybody is going to be watching it. And the main thing I tell her, I said, daddy's job, and I let them know about death as much as I can let them know, understand. We watched The Lion King first.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Simba joint. So
Right.
I'm letting her know when daddy's gone, my job is to make sure that whenever I'm not around, whether I'm here physically or not, you know what to do. That's what my job
Exactly.
is. You have to know what to do because a lot of people panic and that's when everything falls apart. You got to know what to do. Daddy's job is to give you all the tools possible. So when you run into a situation and you analyze it all and you're like, dad already prepped me for this. All right, boom, this is what we got to do. Boom, boom, boom. Done deal. That's my job. So, yo, let's get a round of applause for you setting up the family, man.
Yes, man. Yes.
Because this is
Yes.
how it's supposed
Yes.
to be done. So
100%.
back to the stresses, right? A lot of the traumas that we had growing up, okay, led down the line to some things that I realized that I had that I didn't even know, right? Anxiety is probably one big thing in our community that I think that is not addressed enough, okay? Because we think like to have the mindset that we have to constantly think forward, okay? Anxiety is just tandem with that, all right? It is something that you cannot escape. You just control it as much as you can. So
Right.
last question I got for you is what are some tips or what are some ways that you deal with anxious environments or if you get into any anxiety, how do you manage it?
Man, that's a really good question, man. The reason why that's a really good question is because I agree with you with the said that anxiety is something that our community deals with on an extremely high
Mm-hmm.
level. But I think the interesting thing about it is I don't think that a lot of us know how to identify what that
What
is.
anxiety is, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, like me, like when I think or before I started to like really start to, embrace therapy and embrace being able to talk to people and learn a little bit more about this. And then granted, I'm not an expert in the field at all, but I'm starting to, come open to the idea. But when I would think about anxiety, I would think of like, you know, like, like just
Yeah, manic
shook,
people. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, like that's what I
Yeah.
thought anxiety was, right? Um, but for me, whenever I start to feel anxious or starting to feel those things, man, my biggest thing is to be able to just to be present in that moment, right? And what is it that I'm being anxious about? Why is it making me anxious? Right? Try to identify it at first. And
Right.
then try to navigate, okay, what's the end result of this said situation? You know what I mean? Like if I'm anxious about, I don't know, let's say the rent being due. I mean, I'm just throwing out something out there,
This
right?
is something that everybody can relate to. Yeah.
Right. Okay. The rent is due.
Yeah.
Okay. How, like, so, okay, I know what the rent is. I know when it's due. What are the ways that I'm able to figure it out? Like, how do I figure this out? You know what I'm saying? Like, instead of just
Yeah.
being worried and like being scared about it, okay, let's be present and let's figure out what do we need to do in order to make the rent, right? And then I just try to navigate through those steps. Okay, all right, I got half of it right here, right?
Yeah.
I was supposed to go to this concert with my boys, but you know what? I probably should cancel that. So now I can bring that back.
Yep. Bring that. Yep.
You know, okay, I'm gonna sacrifice this, right? Or I mean, I'm just throwing out super hypotheticals right now, but I try to identify it then, right? And then the other part of it for me, and I know that everybody don't have this luxury, but you know, I have a phenomenal partner, you know, in my wife that I can legitimately be completely open and stripped. What I mean by that is I can be extremely vulnerable with my wife and let her know exactly what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And she listens and she knows how to help me through those things. So again, going back to what we talked about in the beginning is just having that trustworthy person that you can open up and be completely transparent with, right?
Yeah.
Those are the two things for me. Like I'm big on just being present in that moment and being able to identify, you know, the steps to solving said solution or
Right.
or said problem,
Yeah.
finding that solution, and then also being able to identify when I am feeling anxious and being able to talk to somebody, and also know that it's gonna be all right.
It's
It's
gonna
gonna
be all
work.
right. Yeah.
It's gonna work itself out. You're just feeling a little overwhelmed right now, you know. Um, but I think that's huge, man. Just being able to understand the place that you're in and to be completely realistic with yourself.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? Being realistic with yourself in that moment to try to identify what that problem is and then being able to actively and effectively come up with a solution.
Right. Yeah, man. Anxiety is real, brother. It's real. And it affects everybody. Now, the steps that I take in order to understand it is, like you said, be present about it. Okay. It's like, all right, what's going on? Right. Because it can get overwhelming really quick if you do not get in front of it. I
Mm-hmm.
like to, like for me, I like to plan ahead. Like my whole month of March was already done in February, right? So I already knew ahead of time, this is what's going down. My calendar's already, set up. That's how I get down. So me, I understand fully that there are some things that I can do and there's some things that I can't do. I had to learn this in my early 30s. All right. I had to realize, there's just a lot of things that I have control over. And for the things that I do not have control over, I got to
You
let
have
it
to
be.
release it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I can't continually hold on to something that there's nothing I can do about it. So
Yes.
that's my biggest advice to anybody who goes through any type of anxiety. Recognize where you are, one, like Fez said, and two, can you do something about it? If that answer is no, let it go. That's the
Man.
bars right there. If it's no, let it go. And if there is something you can do about it, put your best effort, and that's it. Okay. That's all you can do. Anybody who goes through anything, if you can just put your best at it and you can say, yes, I did, that's it. What else
That's
can
it,
you do
man.
about it, man? If you can't overthink things, just let it be. So
Yes.
those are some tips there for anybody going through it, man.
Dude,
So
that's so huge, man. Like you gotta be able to like you gotta let go of things you have no control over, man. Like, and I'm a huge advocate of that. If I literally have no control over it, why am I stressing myself out about it? You know
right.
what I mean? Like, I literally
right.
can't do anything about it.
Right.
Why am I worried? You know what I mean? Like, it's simple when you say it, and it's
It's
harder, I
hard in
guess, easier
practice.
said than done, right?
Yeah.
But it's such a necessity, man. If you cannot control it, you only you gotta worry about the things you have control over.
Right.
You know,
I have a quote on it as sometimes you gotta let go to get a grip. That's as
that's
easy
good.
as it is, man.
That's good.
I remember what made me think of that is I remember one time doing pull-ups, and your hand, sometimes your hands hurt, you got calluses, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then that pain starts to shoot down, and it hits
Yep.
in your head like, oh, I gotta let go, right?
Yes.
Sometimes you just got to let go to reposition.
Exactly.
That's it. And then it's all right. You can get, 2, 3 more out of it, right?
Yes.
That's as simple as it is. Sometimes you gotta let
That's
go
fire.
to get a grip. It's coming to a bar near you.
That's hard. I like that. I like that. It's a good
Yeah,
pull-up analogy, man, because I've been there.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, brother. I appreciate you taking your time out today, man, in order to share your time with me, man, and share with the people.
Thanks, man.
Like Stacks and Bars to me, why I created this whole platform is because I remember vividly when I heard everything in the 90s, and I love 90s hip hop, right? Then I
Hmm.
heard the 2000s and 2000s transition. And then, you and I were doing our things. And then I stepped back, probably, I want to say 2006 or five, whatever, one of those years. So I stepped back at that point. I didn't really mess with rap for a minute because everything was telling me how whack I was, how much they were going to do to my girl, how much more money they had than me.
Hmm.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
why am I listening to this? Y'all ain't helping me
Right. Right.
any better than this. So I
Right.
left it alone.
Hmm.
Then after a while, there's some guys that came out and I like the sound of it. And I still love hip hop. But what bothered me was I was looking for something to help me be a better me. And I never found that. So it took all the way until 2 years ago, where I came up with this idea of doing strictly clean raps because I want my daughters to be able to listen to it and play it in front of whoever, one. And two,
Hmm.
because I want to be able to teach people that, yo, there's something out there that can help you be a better you. And you can listen to it. And it still sounds just like the other stuff, except for the message you get out of it is positive. Now, when's the last time we heard super positive rap?
I mean, it's in there, but you gotta
You
dig
gotta
through it.
find it.
You gotta
You,
dig through.
you absolutely gotta find it. Hey, baby
Oh, hello.
girl. Yeah, so this is exactly why I do stuff like this. I want them to listen to it. They want, like, even when I rap now, they'll be down here sometimes. They'll make me laugh.
Yeah.
Like I had to do more takes than I need to.
Yeah.
But regardless of that, this is why, man. I want to be able to leave something in place. So somebody like her, somebody like her friends, parents may listen to something like you and I are talking about and relate to that, man, because this is real life.
100%.
Life is more than jewelry, cars, girls, extra money, stunting, all that stuff. Sounded great when we was young because it was
Yeah.
all we knew.
Right.
But now, I'm 40 now. What did that get me?
Right. Yeah, man. Yeah, I feel you, man.
So I decided to change it up and create what I knew I wanted to listen to. So
And
thank you
it's
for being a
beautiful,
part of
man.
that.
This is beautiful. Thank you for having me. I greatly appreciate you, man. Thanks for thinking about me and considering me for this. It was absolutely fun. And I wish nothing but great positivity and success and everything for you and your family, man. You have a beautiful family. I see your baby girl right there. But I
Yeah.
know, man, I know you, right? I know you are a great dude, always been A1 from the day that I met you. So
Thank
I
you.
know that that's carrying on, through your family, right?
Thank
So
you.
the best to you, man.
Thank you. Thank you, brother. So at this part in time, man, I say thank you one more time, man. I appreciate you. Love you. Hope
Yeah,
everything
man.
for you that you want in life will come to you. And I know you'll work for it and it'll definitely come to you, brother. I appreciate you.
Thanks, man.
All right. You take it easy.
All right, man. Peace.
Peace. Yo, peace. It is the Stocks and Bars, the Stock Market Hip Hop Podcast, where we talking about mental health is wealth. Let's give it the bars. They attack our mental state, imagery in your face. Insinuate my melanin's the reason men should hate. Accumulate the mass amounts of hatred, then the weight that you hold over your shoulders should make you bend a break. But what don't kill me make me strong. I greet adversity with a grin and wave. Proceed to take lemons from life, squeeze and make lemonade. Convert my pain into profit, put it in the bank. You gain growth, that's an even exchange. It seems strange we don't share when we suffering. Don't be afraid when that pain coming from within. It's easier to face when the numbers lift. You can defeat anything that you up against. Let the people know how you feel. You'll feel something shift. Sometimes you gotta let go just to get a grip. You are never alone in this world. There ain't nothing new under the sun. Advice from my mother's lips. Make sure you check out the Stocks and Bars Hip Hop Podcast every single month.